¿Aló? ¿Aló, aló? Alright, yeah, I can't get my camera to work. It's really annoying. But it just refuses to play ball. Here we go. Bing, bing, bing. Oh, no spoilers. I mean, that's spoilers, but like, Return of the Watermelon Smack Snare? Oh. We should be excited, guys. We should have some bangers in today. Alright, bing. This feels so weird when I don't have my camera on. I can't just look at you guys. Alright, first... Wait, sorry, this is my... There we go. Okay. First one of the stream is gonna be from Hayes. Let's take a listen. Well. I like this. Sorry, I'm trying to open my notepad and it just literally refuses to open. And it's really fucking annoying. I was gonna write some notes. Let's take another listen to this. Because I like the intro. I think the intro is already pretty good. I think the intro is good. Maybe it needs like a little bit of extra, like sort of helpful arrangement stuff. I might need a little bit of extra. I don't know what the fuck. Yeah, I think mostly for me, it's just like it ends up being a little one-dimensional in a not bad way, but it doesn't quite have everything. Yeah, it feels like it's missing like one more dimension of like cool shit going on before it's like complete. It's like I'm closing something on my computer. Should hopefully unfuck some things. Just being a pain. Let's see if this fixes that. I think mostly like once we get to here. Like now I need something different. This has kind of been long enough where I feel like I need a new dimension to this, a new layer. And I think if you want to keep the sound design the same, the best way to do it would be to change the drum flow. And I think if you experiment, you'll probably find one that actually, even if it's not insane, like you don't have to completely change the kick snare pattern. But even I think if you add some extra kicks in there, just to sort of break it up, maybe break it up is the wrong way of saying it, but just to like create a little bit of a new underlying flow, you can keep all of this like new melody and new stuff in here, and it should feel more exciting. And then theoretically you can take it in a different direction or the same direction for the rest of the tune. And I like this piano transition into the piano. That also feels very satisfying. There's a question as well as if you keep the intro as dry as it is, like I think you could have some extra elements ambience wise, like Foley wise going on in the background, but it doesn't have to be. It's sort of up to you if you feel like that's something like that's like exciting. I think we can move on now. Well, there we go. This finally worked. That's cool. All right. Doo-doo-doo. Next up, Kelly B and Hayes. Back to... Wow, what a nice art as well. Super cool. Working on finishing this project. Any feedback would be awesome. Okay. I wonder if we've heard this before. So far, it doesn't sound like it. Okay, I do really, really love this first drop in particular. Okay, I'm gonna stop it here. I'm not sure I like the drums here. Something about this section just feels not quite satisfying. It's like, it's a little bit for me in this like uncanny valley where it doesn't feel quite like a drop, like, but it's also not like a breakdown. It's sort of, it just kind of hits weird for me. I think this is fine. I want to hear more of his vocal being actually incorporated into this. Because it's nice that you have it sort of in between, but if it never becomes like a part of the drop, or at least a part of these breakdowns, it sort of disappears for me. To be fair, you do have it a lot in the drop, so maybe it's okay. But it feels like you have this build-up of like this whole little bridge here is focused just on the vocal, and then it disappears. Unless this lead is that vocal. But even then, it doesn't quite read for me initially like that. I would suggest experimenting with taking out this like kick from this and focus more on these like shorter driving percussions and see if you don't get a flow that feels a little bit more like liquidy and like that focuses on all of these like grooves you have going. Because it might end up being a nicer sort of in-between to catch your breath, and then it will make this feel more impactful. I think this sound in particular as well is a bit undermixed, like it doesn't quite hit hard enough for me. I hear where you're going with it, I just think you should maybe give it a bit more attention and see if there isn't a way to like layer it or spice it up in some way so that it just feels as in front and I guess tantalizing as some of the other sounds in this drop. Same here. I appreciate this too. Okay, here's another arrangement thing. Man, there's so many cool things to examine with this song. There's just so much here now. I think this break should be a little bit longer. Or, because the thing is, this feels like it's nice the way it is, but I do wonder if you don't want a little bit more space. Like, double the amount of space you get. And here, actually, you might even want to do a fake out. And fake out with like an organic instrument that's playing the same rhythm so that when you get a... Kind of messes up this turnaround into here though. Whoa. I love this vocal chop. And I think this outro, you might want to make it a little bit more add some extra harmony to it. Because it feels a little too dark. I like that it's dark in the middle. And even here it's less dark. Here it's very... Like this is what I meant, but it's like kind of dark and... But you go from like really bright sounds to like all of a sudden this like sort of darker tone. And I think if you go out of this like big sawy, I don't even know if these are saws. I don't know what they are. Super distortion, amazing sound. Oh, what's up, chat? By the way, sorry, I've been just like locked in. Hungover, a good man. Ooh, Joy, the LSAT, the best of all times. Anyway, you come out of this like insane super chord focused drop. And then it kind of... So I don't think you need chords here. I just think you need a couple, you know, like even just like a single note on a string in the left ear and then like one or two things that are harmonizing together somewhere else, even if it's like 3 separate instruments. My suggestion would be like 3 different sounds, each of them doing 1 or maybe 2 notes each. And that already will just pick up the whole atmosphere. And you could take the harmony from the first chord or the last chord. It doesn't need to be complex. It just needs to have like a little bit extra prettiness to it, I think. Because you already have all these like sparkly things and stuff, which is great. Joy. I love this, dude. This like higher distorted vocal sounds really clean. It's just like super punchy. Yeah, I know that's a lot of like sort of random disconnected notes, but everything else is honestly great. I really enjoyed this. This is super cool. Super, super cool. Alright, let's move on. No! You sent me a broken link! How could you? Send me another one. In the meantime, we'll do Walkus's, but then I'll come back to yours. Unless it's this one. Okay, this looks like it's probably it. I'll listen to this one. Hello! Oh my god, wait. I gotta log in to read this. Hello, it's good. I know it's goofy, but it's a different approach than usual, mix and sound design-wise. Experimenting a little bit, but I wanted to share something with you. I'm hyped. I'm gonna be getting an electric guitar. Let's go! I turned 18 this week too. Hey, congrats. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. That's a cool picture too. Alright, let's take a listen.
This is actually a pre-drop. Yo, I love you, Kaiten.
I love you too, man. Okay, I see, I think where you're going with this. There's something about this that's like really nostalgic as well, because it's like going back into this like, not bro step, but the stuff that was adjacent from like all of this bro step stuff. Back when like we didn't care so much about mixing, it was just like about what sounded cool and new and fresh, and now we're all just like, the mix isn't good. I've been working all week, no submission. RIP. Unfortunate. But I've also been working all week, so I also got nothing to show if I had to be in your position. I want to hear this, like, I want to hear more of, like, the stuff that's outside of this, because I feel like it takes with all of this type of stuff, you need to actually build into it. If you don't build into it and you just sort of come out the gates here, you don't have like the context that you actually need to make it feel rewarding. There's some stuff, like if you play this, something about it is just like in your face immediately, and it's like you get all of the context you need sort of up front. This feels like you need to create a little bit more of that like progressive build up to get to this. Like hyper melodic, hyper happy stuff as well. I think with the sad stuff, it tends to come across more easily. I guess more build up is always good. I feel like I've sort of talked myself into a corner here with this, but anyhow. Wait, by the way, did you have another submission? Because if you do, send it to me as well, because I will have time to listen to it. It's just like, I don't know, it looked, the link looked very different from before. That's why I'm asking. What else can I say about this? I think the kick as well is a little bit too, like, almost like future bouncy. Like, it's super, like, almost clicky. So this like very pronounced transient and like thunk, 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 thunk. This is not clicky, but it's a little, it sticks out a little bit too much for me in a way that's not like really resonant with everything else going on here. And you notice it here. I think you'd feel different if the thump of the kick had a little bit more like texture to it. I think if you had a different ending to the kick, it would be fine. But I mean, this is cool. I know you said it's goofy, but like, I try not to treat the goofy stuff too much differently unless it's supposed to be a meme. But keep playing with this type of stuff. I think you're finding your way to a new sound. I like having it as part of the second drop. I didn't, but I could though. I don't even remember what I said. Didn't what? You could totally do a cool choppy thing here, where you do a do 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 do, and you do like a progression that builds up into that. That could make a fun build. Take my ideas with a grain of salt, though. I am so washed up in the EDM making builds shit, so. I can't remember the last time I tried to make an EDM song. Like, I actually don't remember. It's been a while. I don't know that I have more to say to this, so I'm gonna move on. Fishing boat from X to Rec. Oh, what am I even saying? That's, I don't know. Place. Let's go. There's a very, very low-cut water sound. I gotta look at it with subtitles. Sorry, man. I'm kind of rambling today. Man, what? This is so cool. It's interesting because I had thought about it before that you and Walkus would make like a really great like botanical type of artist, because that's sort of what this feels like to me. It has this like same botanical essence without it being like this sort of classic silken wood botanica type of thing that's become very mainstream. It has like a certain sound to it. This is like a very unique take on it. But I love this use of Foley, it's great. I almost wish the LFO was a little bit more intense on some of these elements, so it had a bit more of a choppier feel. So it'd be like, because you bring it in here. But I think even here, I think if the LFO on that wobbling element was a little bit shorter and choppier, not much, just a bit, so you have a bit more negative space, I think the Foley itself would stick out more and would feel a little bit more exciting. I think you just get overall a better contrast. You know what I think this is missing? It's just missing a little bit of use of the low end. It feels like there's nothing happening in the low end. And I'm just going to play like a note here on the piano, like a really nice, like, or you know, just something even deeper than that, like or you know, obviously these sound a little bit too dark, but you know, just to give sort of idea that like maybe something else that's, you know, bringing in a bit more of that power from the low end will just help you like broaden the scope of what's going on in the track. You know, you have space down there that you aren't really using at the moment, and so even like a really cool textured impact, you don't have to use the low end all the time. In fact, it's maybe even better if you don't, because it means that then when you do bring in like a low note on the bass or like some impact, it feels really fresh and, you know, kind of just hits you. Yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on this. Otherwise, it's just really cool. It's really, really cool. I like this. Addicted. Me when apple juice. So addicted to apple juice right now. Let's take a listen. I think we've heard this before, like a previous version. Addicted to your touch, addicted to your love. I don't even show it, you already know it. Addicted to your touch, addicted to your love. I don't even show it, you already know it. Addicted to your touch, addicted to your love. I don't even show it, you already know it. Addicted to your touch, addicted to your love. I don't even show it, you already know it. Interesting. I think there's a lot of cool stuff in here. I think it's sort of suffering a bit from that same, to me at least, in my opinion, suffering a bit from that like typical bass house arrangement where, to me, the breaks don't feel like they don't bite. And part of that is this vocal, which is just I'm not a big fan, and it's also not quite in front enough. It feels sort of not low effort, but it doesn't have bite. But maybe if it does for you, and if you feel like you enjoy the vocal the way it is, then that's fine. Don't worry about what I think. I do think the drop is a bit one-dimensional, and that it's sort of the same thing with this haze thing, where it's too much of the same sound. It's missing like a counter or something. Like the whole time, it's just this one sound. Like you end up adding this one lead on top of it. I think this outro is quite nice. I think the vocal here you should turn up, because it'll just make this whole. It should be now focused on the vocal, even though we've got the whole drop of like, extended mix here. Turn up the vocal so that it's leading this section, and I think also here you need to turn up the vocal. You can't really read the vocal. You're like, it's there, but you can't hear what he's saying, and you don't feel it at all. So I definitely think you need to turn it up. Here also maybe turn the vocal up. So maybe just turn this whole vocal up a bit more. Definitely 1 or 2 dB for here. Probably more like 3 to 5 dB for this section. Because here it's definitely just like getting overwhelmed by the mix. And I actually really like this. See, I don't know why you don't do this also over here. Like, these are great sounds. This fill is super cool, by the way. Yeah, I think it's just about like getting the right counter to this main lead in there, and just making sure the vocal is actually hitting in all of these sections. And I think then you should be all right. Yeah, this is kind of my 2 cents on this. Mew and Coca-Cola. I'm gonna state the obvious, but bass house is no different than dubstep, sound design wise. Sounds very similar. I think bass house is more narrow. There are a lot more things that I would say technically fall under what dubstep is, especially now, where it's had so much time, and you have so many artists who have their own twists on it. Bass house feels more like a subgenre, whereas dubstep has a very big umbrella of what counts under it. You've got all of these like gun step, death step, all things that I would consider are like dubstep. So even within dubstep, which is technically a genre or a subgenre of EDM, there are many different flavors of it, whereas bass house is kind of quite tightly locked into, this 128 or 130 BPM. Like even dubstep, you can really play a lot with, you can go down to like 140, 135. You can even go up to like 160. It's kind of hard with bass house. As soon as you go by like 125 BPM, it loses. It starts to really become something else. Even like take Defon for example. Defon has a very unique style of bass house sound design, but even then it's all sort of formulated the same. Has a pretty constrained formula of what it is, which is I think what I was saying earlier, that like it's cool for bass house. I just personally am not a fan of like these genres anymore that have such formulaic arrangements and formulaic like constraints. It's one of the reasons why I stopped enjoying future bounces, because it, the years would go by and things didn't really change aggressively enough, and it was kind of difficult to tell artists apart because it all like you could kind of tell, but it was, you know, because you were in the community and you could tell the 5% difference or the 2% difference between the tracks, and that was a differentiator, but it was mostly the same. Again, not to sorry Rexo, not to like, you know, rail on this track, or if this is what you enjoy, make it. Don't get me wrong, you should be. Don't take shit from me, or don't, you know, feel like you gotta stop making bass house if you're enjoying it, just because I think it's formulaic. But I've always been a proponent that these genres could be more, and I think every time I give feedback on these, I do try to push a little bit more of like, hey, like, can you expand on this? Can you expand on the formula? And that usually just means going and listening to other kinds of music and bringing things back from there into these more formulaic genres until, you know, slowly widen the gap of what a bass house track can be. I just think it hasn't quite gotten there yet. You know, I think the genre has also sort of gone very underground. Like, it had its time in the limelight and then it stopped having it. You know, we moved on to like tech house, and, you know, now it feels like techno is quite back in like more of its mainstream. Like, I know a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm like listening to techno, you know, like pretty classic like techno, and like, you know, old school house is kind of back, and now we're all, you know, just moving in different directions from bass house. Anyway, I do think it's a cool track. You've definitely like, I can just hear all of like the improvements. I think Orexo is just like, I'm waiting for the day when you bring in a track that like sort of breaks up this like tradition. Because right now, I think it would still be hard for me to identify that this is your song for now. But I think if you keep going like this with this speed of improvement, you will break out of the formula in a way that, like, even Defon, for example, who is the other artist who comes in here and brings bass house tracks, comes in and it's like, you know, it's Defon's track. You're like, oh, it's his sound design. And I think you're gonna get there. So just keep pushing and keep being curious and keep experimenting, and I think you will get there, and probably won't even take much longer before you really start putting out tracks that are like, whoa, what is this guy doing? You know, like things that really make you sort of perk your head up and go, hey, what is that? Anyway, that aside, I don't think we have anything else. That's kind of it. In which case, a feedback stream with no music to feedback is at its end. Thank you guys. What? Yeah, I know it's a short one. No, because I think I could rant much longer about other music, but it doesn't really feel correct. So I don't think I have much more to say about any of these tracks. Like, I feel like I've given my 2 cents now. I mean, there will be next week. And next week, I think we'll probably do the feedback stream on Saturday as well. Because I was intending to do it yesterday, but I honestly forgot to change all my announcements and stuff. But, you know, I mean, why? I don't know. Everybody left. They forgot to keep sending me their music for feedback. Hopefully next week I'll get my camera working as well. She just be rough. Wait, actually, let me ask you something. Go for it. Now is a great time to ask some questions. I want to listen to this track again. This is honestly, like, just to go back to this track. If Kelly B and Hayes, either of you guys watch this whole thing through, this track for sure, send this out to labels. Like, I would say consider making the changes, like experiment with the changes I suggested, but definitely send this out. for sure send this one out because it has sauce. Like, I remember it and I was like, oh, that was a cool track. I'm gonna lie, I'm kind of stuck with bass house since I don't want to keep making some generic future bounce. My genuine suggestion for you, good sir, is go and listen to like wildly different stuff. And maybe you already do, but then take even a quarter of the time that you normally spend producing what you're normally producing and like just go and like listen to random things and see if there's stuff you like. And you can go as close to home or as not close to home as you want. You go all the way to like start listening to like, you know, some like classical music, or you could listen to like some hip hop stuff, or, you know, even other types of genres of EDM. Spend some time like on SoundCloud just browsing around, because if you don't input new ideas, if you don't hear new ideas, it's hard for them to ever really appear in your music. So if you feel like you're kind of stuck, it means you probably need to expand your palette a bit. And what you'll probably find is that even if you just kept making bass house, for example, the ideas you start bringing into your bass house will change because you'll have fresh things in your mind. And you'll be able to do what I was saying earlier, it's like bringing in new things into the formula. Have you listened to rocktronic stuff? I don't think so. And do I play any instruments? Kind of. I have the ability now to improvise on the piano, but I don't have the ability to play it. Like if you told me play this song, I would be very unable. I've like done some shadowing work of like shadowing a song, like, you know, this one's of like how to play this song on the piano, and I've like tried to do some of that, but I just don't enjoy it as much as I enjoy going to my piano and doing this. You know, like that. That's the type of stuff I enjoy doing, and that's all just me randomly noodling around. Which piano is that? It's a Contact library. It's from Hammers and Waves. It's their from their acoustic Hammers and Waves piano. It's a fantastic piano. I love it so much. Checking this track real quick. I want to get a guitar because I want to shape my sound towards this type of music. That's a great idea. Playing is also a great way. I'm poor. I don't have Contact. That's fair. But there's lots of other ones. Like, I would say if you want a great, simple, and great piano plugin, this is the one you need. You've probably already got it, but it's this one. That is the Spitfire Audio Labs soft piano. The only difference here is like you don't have like a sustain pedal, whereas here, like and this took me a bit of like jerry rigging to get it right, but like I'm gonna play one note really quickly, and you hear how it just holds the note, like it releases like a normal piano, so you get that really organic sound of just, you know, it going. Now, if I take down the release, which is, you know, That's fine. I just like this sound, you know. Anyway, let me open the chat again. Labs, I knew it. Whoa. It's nice mine's not like that. Yeah, it does take a little bit of futzing about. What are these emojis, bro? What? Yeah, a lot of the music I make now sounds like this as well. It's like a lot of like ambient and score focused stuff. Because that's what I'm just having the most fun doing. I think that's the key, is like if you get bored of something, it's not that you should stop doing it, but you might want to take a break and see how you're going to make things interesting again. Because I spent so much time wasting away working on the same, like the one song that I could afford to like, then I get fixated on finishing, even though I was bored and frustrated with it, but I just forced myself to work on it. And I just feel like I wasted so much time. Not wasted, but I lost so much time that I could have been making more tracks and just making more things. Because I was fixated on finishing something. And then finishing something is a skill too, but if you're not really engaged and enjoying what you're doing, then what was the point? You know, like why did we even bother? To release music and to what, I mean, don't get me wrong, some tracks I've worked on that like I'm glad I spent as much time grinding them out, but it's not like making music for the money. Yeah, fair, very fair, you know. But I think there's lots of other things that you want to make good music, and sometimes we make the mistake of thinking that the more time we invest in the song, the better the song gets. Which, interestingly enough, like the first 80% is going to come in like the beginning. It's like that first 10, 20 hours. And then the last 20%, it's like, it's going to cost you so much time. And for some projects, it's worth it. There's stuff I've worked on where I'm like, I'm so glad that I spent 2 weeks finishing this. Because it was worth it. And it sounded like it was worth it. Now there's stuff that I'm making where it's like, I made one track, one of my favorite tracks I made in like 4 hours. And I've barely changed anything on it since, and I just love it the way it is. And it's weird because it feels wrong, because I feel like I should work more on it. And the more I listen to it, the more I'm just like, why? Why do I need to? When I enjoy it the way it is. It is just fine. And if I need to work more, I should just make more songs. But it's something that for me has been a big struggle. The more time I spent on a project, the worse it gets for me. Yeah, I mean, you do it over different sessions, and you're in a different mood, and you have a different set of ears that day, and you have an overall different approach then to whatever you're doing. So, but you know, I think that also changes. You know, I think it's easy to look at certain artists who you're like, oh, like I've been making music for 4 years and I'm like releasing on these labels. So it's like, whatever. There's some people who are going to be prodigies, who are going to be amazing from the get-go. But man, so many artists that I really love who are like consistent and amazing. You ask them these questions like, oh yeah, I've been making music since I was like 9. And it's like they're, 32. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. So you've been doing music for like 15 years or 20 years or 11 years. And it makes you feel a little bit better about being in your 7th year or your 4th year. And then you're like, okay, well, I'm actually perfectly on track. Like nothing is wrong about what's going on here. It's just you're going at your own pace. Which is why I tend to encourage people to just like keep looking and keep being curious. I want to encourage you guys to like just focus on like the track that you have here, and that's why I like giving feedback, Because it's not about, like, is your song good? It's about, like, okay, this is what's here, this is what I know, and this is where I think your best next steps could be to, like, explore and experiment and learn some stuff. You know? You got any more questions? Anything else I can help you with bad advice? Not bad advice, but I just like to make self-deprecating jokes. I do think my advice is alright. It's more like a sound design question. Hit me with it. Although I will say I'm certainly not a wizard with sound design. I'm kind of just familiar enough to know what everyone else is talking about. I'm trying to get, like... You know I have lots of plugins. Okay, so my main suggestion, because this is like a type of sound, right, that has existed for a while, and at this point it's pretty well documented. The thing I would say is just go on YouTube, and you're not going to find the answer in the first video you look at. You're going to have to look at 15, 25, 30 different videos about supersaws. Right? And what I would suggest is one, stem split. So stem split out the sound of the supersaws to the best of your ability. And then just, you have to do individual, like, experiments. And I mean experiments. Like, don't try and make songs. Literally just experiment with the sound design. Because that's how you really get better at sound design. If you say that this is something that you really feel like you want to get better at, you have to dedicate time to only do sound design. And it feels weird because, like, but I want to make songs and, like, now I'm wasting my time doing sound design. But trust me, an hour of just doing sound design is sometimes how you start a new song. Because you just find that first thing. And maybe you've already looked at a bunch of videos. In which case, I'm sorry, because the answer is you just gotta keep looking until you find the right sound. Even, like, if you want to make stuff like Roy Knox, see if Roy Knox hasn't made stuff showing you what the saws sound like. You know, see if there isn't, like, let's literally look it up right now. Let's go and Google, like, let's go and see, like, Roy Knox walkthrough. Making a Slayer chord stack. Like, you know, like...
So first up we have clean mid-bass preset from my sample pack.
So is this the type of sound you're going for, or is it something different? Thing is, I did that. Oh no. Let's see if there are any other ones. Whoa. Oh, what was this label called? 99 Lives? Wow, this is nostalgic. I remember this. Some OG stuff. I don't know. Conjure. This is... Saw Guide. What is going on? Why have I... What? I'm so confused. Anyway. I don't want my songs to be only chord stacks. You know. Hendrix, all we've done. Circular Saw Guide. The best.
Check.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you what I would do if I was trying to yeah, thanks. Oh my god. Can I please? There we go. So first of all, let's just download the song. Let's not listen to it. Let's actually bring it into FL so that we can do some experiments. The only thing I don't like about the song is the heavy distortion and saturation, but it's OP. Yeah, let's take a listen here, right? Let's go through. The first thing I'm gonna do is actually gonna take a second, but just I don't want this to take. Boom. Boom, so this doesn't take forever. Just like, let's stem split it. Let's take a listen to like the individual components as much as we can get away with listening to individual components. And this isn't going to be a perfect process, but it just gives us a little bit better of a read on like, okay, well, what's actually going on here, right? So first of all,
Check.
so it's mostly here in the bass and the chords, right? What I'm finding interesting about this is how much the bass is actually carrying harmonically. So it's bringing so much to the table here. All right? Like maybe this you say you don't like. Like if you don't like this, that's fine, but let's look at these like. See how much is like the bass is actually contributing to the sound of the chord stack? Right? So the question is, are you remaking that in your own songs? Like how are you adding that? Because maybe it's less of like a chord stack tutorial and you need more of like focus on like actually creating this relationship here. Also, if you listen to this, the main element here is not actually the chords. The fact is there's a really powerful lead that's mostly carrying this melody, and it's really not saw-based. It's a vocal, like a vocal chop type. And I think if you get an electric guitar, you're going to have a lot more options because you're going to be able to just play a guitar lead, which is brilliant. Guitars are fantastic when you add distortions and put leads on them. Like you'll get the opportunity to do leads that really hit inside of your chord stacks. I would also say then you can record some bass lines and stuff like that. Like there's just going to be a lot of options. I don't know if this is actually helpful, but like this is what I think you need to do if you want to improve, is like go through and study. Don't just listen passively. You actually have to try and like investigate and research, like how are these songs constructed, like breaking them down into like individual components, especially once it's so easy now. And like think about like, okay, if this is the sound I want to get to, am I using the correct kicks, right? Like if I'm using a snare that sounds different than this, it's going to get a different effect. So I have to use something that's at least kind of got the shape to it. Because if you dropped in, like I would say as well, like a great experiment for learning drums that I've done before is take a song, remove the drums, and add your own drums in there, and just listen to what a difference it makes. But first I gotta learn how to play it though. Have fun with it. I think this as well is like you can combine learning how to play it with your sound design stuff, which is just like play something, experiment with it, destroy the recording you made with all kinds of processing, and you just have to be focused on being curious and like experimenting with it. That's how I ended up learning the piano. It's just like I just didn't make a big fuss out of like trying to learn it to be really good. I just did whatever was interesting and tried to learn it from zero, and I ended up much happier and more experimental. I do feel a little bit stuck with it now though, but that's also because I have a certain type of sound I'm trying to go for, and so it limits some of my experimentation again. But that's okay. I'm sort of happy with that trade-off. Is that helpful, or do you got some follow-up questions on this? Not really. I mean, yes, but no. You have a path to follow, which is cooler. But the main problem comes at time effects like distortion. The main thing I can tell you about distortion, and I'll just use this bass as an example. When you think about tube distortion, there's two main types of tube distortion, which is like very even focused and very odd focused. You have even and odd harmonics, and there's a lot of complicated theory stuff behind this that I learned at uni, and you don't actually need it, you just need to listen. This is a very smooth type of distortion. If I flip this switch and I switch to one that's focusing on odd harmonics, you're gonna get a lot harsher of a sound. Here how this is smoother and rounder, and this is more. When you're doing sound design, you just got to think about how the distortion is bringing out these extra harmonics. Because what you're actually doing, ultimately, is, so if I turn this off, right? See how this is, it has all of these different lines or individual harmonics. And then as soon as I turn this on with, maximum thing, see how much fuller this is going to get, how much brighter? See how all of these lines started getting brighter up here, around this area. That's because we've literally like added extra volume and extra harmonics, and even the harmonics that were there, we've amplified them. And then those created even more harmonics further up the frequency range. It's still pretty noob with distortion and saturation. Yeah, that's why I'm explaining it now in the sense that like, think about it this way. Distortion is about creating more frequencies. It's not about just like making the frequencies you have louder, but it's about actually creating new frequencies based on the frequencies that already exist. And the easiest way to show you is with a sine wave. So if I take a sine wave here, right? right? I'm gonna even, can I turn these off? Wait. Right? Simple sine wave. I'm gonna turn this one on. I just want to turn it up. Right? Great. Simple sine wave, right? It's literally a single like frequency. So if we go into here and we take a look, it's just one frequency. As soon as I add distortion to this, see how there are extra frequencies that are being added? We're literally creating extra frequencies. And by changing the type of distortion we're doing, we're going to generate different types of frequencies based on what we already have. So most of saturation is, there is a mathematical answer to a lot of this, right? But if you go into something like a decapitator, which has different like modes, right? More distortion equals more frequencies. Hear how these are all different? They distort differently. And the thing is, if you play around with these enough, you will get an intuition of what. Also, when you layer saturations together, you get this compounding effect of like, you know, the sound continues to change and to change and to change as you keep, you know, adding these extra frequencies in here. Because they're literally stacking on top of each other. Because now, instead of it just being these frequencies, now it's all of these frequencies that are now also getting distorted and amplified. Which is why if you change the order here... Oh, no, that's not what I meant to do. If you change the order of these, it creates a very, very different sound, because this distortion wants to do things. It's, you know, changing the tone of it, because it's choosing what frequencies to add based on what already exists. Which is also why if we do this, we can actually influence what the distortion is actually going to be distorting by EQing. See how this creates a very different tone? Now, if we turned off the distortion, it kind of just EQs. But then this, you know, if we inverted this, if we turn off both of these EQs, see how it creates a very different experience? Right, because we're boosting different frequencies, and that creates different focus on the harmonics. Oh, I didn't know there was a stream. What do you mean? I announced it. I'm doing an explanation of distortion. Because I ran out of submissions, and why not? Oh yeah, with hell. Does this make sense so far? That's why you can achieve almost totally different sounds from the original only with that? Yes. That is the main sort of summarization of it, is like, when you learn the sort of basics of the fact that like distortion and EQ and all of these things influence each other, you start to get you have a much easier time of getting this like intuition of like how it works. You don't feel like you're running around in the dark so much. So this is, I would say, like the basics. It's like, if you learn some basic sound theory, and I would say the best place to learn this is like, for sure, here. The best place to learn it from is from here. This gentleman. This gentleman has some of the best explanations of all of this type of stuff. And this guy is like a mixing dude, but you'll learn the fundamentals, and it will help you actually understand like the concepts of what you're trying to do, and then push it to the extremes. And this is also like a bunch of the resources that I used initially to learn about how to do any of this stuff in the first place, right? You know, definitely go and like check out a bunch of dubstep dudes and like, give me a minute, I'll send something. Okay. Like I said, there's a lot out there that like can help you learn more of those like fundamental like principles of like what it is that you're even doing in the first place, because it can get very technical. You don't have to be technical with it. You can just try stuff and experiment. But you just want to get to an understanding of, you want to get to the point where you say, I'm going to put on a decapitator and I have a pretty good feeling that I'm going to get this type of sound out of it. Or I'm going to add this distortion and it's going to change my sound sort of in this way. You know, one of the reasons why saturation with saws is really complicated is if we clone this, right? And now we make a saw. Look at what a saw looks like in terms of the amount of frequencies it has. Look how many frequencies there are. There are so many frequencies already. So when you take what before was that same saw, right? That same sine wave, sorry, you got like a whole bunch of frequencies. You already start with a lot of frequencies here. So when you add this, it does get stronger, but there's a limit before it kind of just disappears and you lose the soul of it. If we right? Now the sound is kind of dead. Like it's not really nearly as engaging and good as it was before. See, this to me sounds good. And this is because it's a very even kind of distortion that's very round, so it's not like adding a bunch of harsh frequencies. If we flip this over to the other mode that's focused on adding more of these odd harmonics that are a little bit harsher, hear how now it's pulling out things from the saw that aren't super melodic. So like if we made a chord with this. Wait. Because now this is one note, right? But as soon as we start going... Let me turn down the volume of this though. That's better. You know, it's picking up a lot more of these harsher-ish frequencies. So you're getting more of this like weird rumbling and stuff. So you gotta be careful with this, because that same amount of distortion that worked fine for the sine wave before, like if we take the same chord and copy it over to here. Okay, maybe this is also a little bit. This was fine before, and now it's like whoa. So it's also about the amount of notes you have. Like when you do chords and try to distort chords, it's gets really messy. Doing quite a lot of music in blind mode, putting things that sound right. That's good. I think when you become a little bit more aware and focus time on like becoming more aware of how what you were doing before is working, it will make a big difference. And this is why, and maybe I should have led with this, but honestly I forgot. That's why it's important to go and do experiments like this. None of this is about making songs, right? Everything I just did, look, there is no song here. There's nothing in here that I did that is a song. But the next time that I do an experiment and I have an idea and it turns into a song, the amount of like clarity and understanding I'm gonna have approaching it, the amount of experience I'll have and understanding of what it is that I want to get out of what I'm doing, is gonna make my time actually working on the song many multiples better. Which is why it's important. Hello music. Hello Toxic Wraith. How are you? Okay, it's sent. Alright, we can go back to doing feedback now. Bomba. Alright. Let me switch back to this. Okay. Bad radio, but more this time. Oh! Yes! Big fan. This is so good.
She a top shelf player to my MP3. Feeling elegant, black tie, talk to me. She don't talk to me, she looking third degree. Daft boys keep it cool, okay. Cheap shoes in the trench with the HOA. Don't call,
oh my god, this is so good.
Takes one bad bet to kill the whole parlay. Girl always divine, she predictable. Looking good is a crime, she a criminal. Don't look at the time,
okay,
it's the principle.
I'm digging
She's
this.
saying I'm fly, how original. Won't trust a wise guy, she's cynical. Off of her mind, I'm subliminal. No shot, but nice try, I'm miserable. Can't win, but won't die invincible.
Woo! This is so fucking cool. Nah, that's so cool. What the fuck? Oh, this is so much more. Wow, before we had this. I'm a big fan of this break.
Hey, don't call, don't talk, don't look away. Takes one bad bet to kill the whole parlay. Girl always divine, she predictable.
Wow, the flow is so good too. I will say, my criticism is maybe here.
Can't win, but won't die invincible. Die invincible.
That's super cool, but this doesn't ever, the melody sort of just continually goes it never goes which is a quite satisfying loopy melody, whereas this kind of just leads you on for a while until you get annoyed with it. And I think it's fine if you do it a little bit, as long as you like at some point go like it needs to have that like ending to it, or else it just feels like an annoying kind of tease. This is super cool. This switch up. What a sick track, dude. Whoa. Bah, fucking banger. Absolute banger. I love this. I love this so much. I love this breakup.
She a top shelf player to my MP3. Feeling elegant, black tie, talk to me. She don't talk to me, she looking third degree. Daft boys keep it cool, okay. Cheap shoes in the trench with the HOA. Don't call, don't talk, don't look away. Takes one bad bet to kill the whole parlay.
Did you really make a bar about the HOA? Like, how great is that? That's so great.
Girl always divine, she predictable. Looking good is a crime, she a criminal. Don't look at the time, it's the principle. She's saying I'm fly, how original. Won't trust a wise guy, she's cynical. Off of her mind, I'm subliminal. No shot, but nice try, I'm miserable. Can't win, but won't die invincible.
Oh man, absolute banger. Fucking banger. Yeah, that's those comments are really my only things, because the mix is clean, everything else just like it has this like pop to it, you know? Maybe like this lead. You could argue this lead is like overly bright compared to, but not really. It doesn't matter. None of that is like actually important because it just has such like a strong feeling to it. It's like the, you know, and to go back to this conversation earlier about sound design and whatever for Riven, it's as much about feeling. You got to do all the logic parts, but the feeling is what's most important. Like when you have a song like this, I would end up oftentimes like overworking this and like removing all the soul out of it, and so I'm trying to like maybe almost overly so, just go the other way and just be like, no, like it's good, it feels good, it's really really good, it feels good, it feels intense, and maybe not intense, but like you know, like bright and saturated and exciting. Freaking awesome. Super freaking awesome. I don't know that I've got more than that. If we don't have more submissions, then I guess that's it. Toxic Ray, did you wanna send in a tune? Anything I can help you with, sir? Man, we've had some really cool tracks in today. I mean, I say that every week, though. Just such cool tracks. You guys are just a little too good. Alright, I guess that is our show. That's the show for today. See ya? Yeah, see ya. Like I said, I hope the explanation was helpful, and I mean, have a good a good time on your holiday, and yeah, I look forward to having some more tunes from you guys next weekend. Next weekend will probably be on Saturday, probably. Bro, I just joined. Yeah, but we did your tracks like a billion years ago. It was a good explain. Hell yeah. And it's over. I'm sorry. You have to listen to the VOD. I said horrible things about your music. I was super mean. I spent the whole time saying how shit Haze is and how, like, thanks for the feedback though. Wow. Yeah, it's like totally. Like, you'll go back and listen to it. It was super mean. Super, super mean. Alrighty. Thank you guys for the fantastic stream. And thank you, Haze, for showing up at the end for the participation. Yeah, I'll see you guys again next week. Bye.